This is Paul Robb from Information Society, and you're listening to Back to the City, Minneapolis Music Conversation with Simon Calder.
I'm very excited indeed to be joined by Steve Barone. Welcome, Steve.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You've just recently played Red Rocks.
Did.
As, of course, part of Lifter Puller.
Yep.
And that was on a bill with Atmosphere and
Brother
Lizzo.
Ali.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Lizzo. Then we played, and then it was Brother Ali and Atmosphere, and the whole show was amazing. It was sold out. I watched Lizzo from the side of the stage there, and then I wanted to enjoy the show from out in the crowd to get the view of downtown Denver from high up in the seats. So I went out and saw Brother Ali's full set and Atmosphere's full set because I had friends and stuff in the crowd, so I just hung out with them.
Yeah. So that's the second set that Lifter Puller have played in the last couple of years.
Right.
You also played, just explain for anyone who doesn't know what D4th is.
D4th is an event at the Triple Rock, and it is hosted by a local punk band in town called Dillinger 4. Mm-hmm. Eric Funk, one of the singers in that band, owns the Triple Rock. And so they usually have some kind of festivities. This one was very different, though, because it was outside. Normally it's an indoor show. So we played sort of an unannounced show, but it leaked out. We wanted it to leak out. Yeah. So people were there to see us. Dandy Dan Marino ain't no Dan DeVito.
I want everybody who's been eyeing my girl to slowly close.
Dandy Dan Marino ain't no Dan DeVito.
I want everybody who's been eyeing my girl to slowly close their eyes.
That's such a good synth hook.
Oh, where'd it come from?
Where did it come from?
Oh, I can tell you.
And ask yourself, what do you think my girl wants?
We wanted it to leak out.
Yeah.
So people were there to see us.
It leaked out. It reached me. I got to witness it as a result of the leak.
So we hadn't played in 12 years. There was a 12-year hiatus.
And the previous time, 2003, was for the opening of Triple Rock. Yeah.
We played the 3 first shows that the Triple Rock had, and they were still hanging a PA speaker. There was sawdust everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it was really raw.
Yeah.
When we opened the place. But it was great. D4th of July last year gave us a lot of confidence going into Red Rocks this year, I think.
I was going to kind of lead up to this question a bit more, but 2000 is when Lifter Puller
broke up.
2003 is when you played those 3 shows.
There were two other reunions in 2002.
Oh yes, okay. And where were they?
One was at when we used to do our East Coast tours. We would go on tour for 2 weeks at a time.
Yep.
And we usually would go to the East Coast, and we played this place called Brownies. It's called Hi-Fi. It's called Hi-Fi now.
I've heard of Brownies.
It's near Tompkins Square Park.
Yeah.
On Avenue A. And so we played a show there in 2003, and then shortly after that, we played a wedding reception at Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. So that was for a friend of you?
Yeah.
Of you guys?
Yeah. It was like Harmar and Lifter Puller were playing the wedding reception.
Wow. That's like the best wedding ever.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Wow. So you played Triple Rock in 2003, then like a decade passes.
12 years.
Yeah, and you're back at Triple Rock for D4th year passes, and then you just played.
Yep.
Way back in the day, things were all the same without the attitude and fame.
The frequency of the reunion shows is increasing.
Right.
Are we to make anything of that? Oh, clearly you enjoyed playing the show.
Oh yeah, I did. You never say never.
Yeah.
I think for us, it has to be a very strange and peculiar show.
Nice.
To play.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll just do a normal sort of bar show.
Sure.
And obviously, Dillinger 4, we grew up with them as a band and Atmosphere.
Yep. The three of you would play together.
We would play together at shows. So it was pop punk, indie rock, and then hip hop on the same bill.
Yeah. There's even an Atmosphere song called Lifter Puller.
Right.
Yeah?
And he was a man, or so he thought. Paid attention to the lessons that he taught. Secondhand, he down blessed. She was short.
Is that in homage to you guys? Or?
I think it had to do with where we all lived. We all lived basically in the same concentrated area in Uptown on Lyndale in 24th. Literally, we'd all go to the old Muddy Waters kitty corner from Meeting Tower Pizza.
Yep.
And that's where Craig Finn met Sean Daly, Slug, from Atmosphere.
Okay.
And eventually that friendship blossomed to us playing shows, and then he made a cameo on one of our songs.
Which song?
Math is Money.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I love that song.
This is the it's called the crowds that used to run around the corner up on Jefferson Ave. They're always chanting on their mantra, you only get what you grab, and there's money in the city, but the money's in handbags. But that's not new, yeah, that's review. I already told you about the bags that get grabbed on the crowd, dudes. They got supply, if you got demand, they get $1 grand to the gram if they could decimate these other gangs. And math is money, and money is math. A leather vest, assless chaps. Peter Pan out here from Springfield, Mass.
I think that's the right song. I get them confused sometimes. People are always like, what, this lyric, I love them. Like, I have no idea what song that's in.
Yeah.
Craig has a lot of lyrics.
Well, understandably, he has a lot of great lyrics. Yeah.
And so it just blossomed from there. And then I don't really know what his song Lifter Puller is about. I don't think it has anything to do with any. I think it's just a title.
Yeah.
He's used some of our lines in a couple songs.
It is a real honor to Lifter Puller are one of my favorite bands.
Oh, thank you very much.
And, yeah, you're very welcome indeed. So when I was doing a little bit of extra kind of research on Lifter Puller, it was nice to see the different ways in which you were referred to by the different characters in the different contexts.
Twin Cities, they're double teaming me. Twin Cities.
There's a great article called "All the Right Moves, All the Wrong Notes," which I think is a quotation from you. Like you say that in the piece. The guy who wrote it is Mike Daly.
Mike Daly he's a guy that we met in California.
Yeah.
And he made he also made like a Lifter Puller like sort of fanzine book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that article.
And actually, I think that he wasn't commissioned to do it for a particular periodical.
No, he was. I believe he's still a writer. He has a book out, and on our website, that's his photo that he took of the four of us against the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took that photo.
He made an analogy with when Allen Ginsberg read Howl at San Francisco's number 6 gallery in '55. He had the same excitement about Lifter Puller as that event and what that did for beat poetry. So he was just, if I understand correctly, on the road with you guys to witness like what
he was hanging out
to that event.
I think he just we had a couple shows in Los Angeles the year we broke up, and he was just hanging around, and we stayed at his place. He was a very lyrical minded person.
Yeah,
he loved it. I mean, I'm sure he loved talking to Craig more than he talking to me.
Yeah, he quizzed. No, he certainly enjoyed talking with you too. He quizzed Craig.
That's only because he was probably into the whiskey, and I was just up late.
There's a really great moment where it is just the two of you up actually in the interview. Which I'll come to, but yeah, he quizzed Craig about which authors he was most influenced by. Yeah, and Craig was saying Pynchon, The Crying of Lot 49, which is a favorite of mine as well. Craig was saying the multiple levels there and the confusion of modern life, how that's caught, and I can see an analogy with Lifter Puller and the lyrics to Lifter Puller.
Yeah.
Cash advances and Jenny's back on campus. Can't believe that it's September. Jenny, what's the story? All the chicks in her sorority. Asked her how she spent the summer. Said I answered at some law firm. Said I got a little sunburn. I saw some labor kid get murdered. And I met this guy, and this guy he got me high. And the drum and bass sounds a lot like Roman thunder. The room looks beautiful, topping off the torch. You don't have to go inside to buy. You can buy it off the porch.
And then he asks you what you're influenced by.
And what did I say?
You said then you referred to Baywatch and the sexual feelings that you had when you watched Baywatch.
I've matured since then. Yeah, I was more visual, I guess. And because to me, like, I have stiff rock moves right now, but back in the day, I would move around the stage a little
absolutely
more. I was influenced by watching videos of Mick Jones.
Yeah, well, this Mike Daly said it was like beach era Nirvana to see you guys play live, and I mean I've seen videos, and
there's not a lot out there, but I have all the archive videos that they're not on YouTube or anything.
Yeah, wow. I've seen the few that have leaked.
There's not much. It seems like because I had a video camera in '96, we were touring around, and then 97. And then there's nothing from 98, 99.
Oh.
There's one show in 2000. Obviously, no one had phones.
Yeah.
So there's like these big gaps.
So you're responsible for the 96, 97.
Yeah, I had a VHS camera with me in the van. I mean, it's a lot of your typical, I'm just going to film out the window.
Yeah.
But it's good for just like setting up a scene or something if I ever get around to making something from the footage.
Her name was Sally, but they all called her Sal Minio. She was lit up like an arson, but she burned out like Arsenio.
There's some footage of you guys on the way to, what's the name of the TV show?
Oh, the Jenny
Strippers?
Jones show.
Yeah.
There's a photo of us in the limousine on the way to that show.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's
And
right.
then I obviously, that clip is on the internet. That was an interesting show because it was stripper wars.
Yeah.
And it was basically good strippers versus bad strippers. A bad stripper is basically a stripper that hooks on the side. Mm-hmm. And so that particular stripper's taking all the money from supposedly just a girl that takes off her clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they were, there was kind of like a Jerry Springer moment on the stage. They were yelling and screaming. And so what we did, we went in and out from commercial breaks, and these were lyricless, like music pieces.
Versions of the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we only played about 30 seconds of them, and then we had to watch this guy on the other side of the studio.
Yeah.
And he would put his hand down, and we had to like sort of finish like what measure we were on.
Yeah, whatever. So regardless,
And then we would just be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, stop.
regardless of, because you've got the lyrics in your head, like regardless of like where it would be
Right.
in the song normally.
Yeah, and we didn't screw it up. Amazingly, I don't know how.
How did
We
you
had never
determine-
practiced that ever.
How did you determine which songs to play?
We had a list of like we have to do this about 6 times or so.
Okay.
And then we just sort of said we'll do these songs here.
Yeah.
And then we got to play one.
Which one did you play?
We played the Bears.
The Bears.
I lay down with the lions, but they're way too lame. I went down on the tigers, but they're way too tame. I know that you're scared, but I suggest you go back to the Bears, the Bears, the Bears.
We had to change our song
Yeah.
because the first song
That's what I read.
might have been Half Dead and Dynamite. I
Yeah.
can't remember because the content of I think because we had to submit a lyric sheet.
Oh, I see.
They checked it, yeah. But then like we got one through because that one, the Bears is about the gay community and bears and cubs.
Yes.
And so like it
Yeah.
was sort of a like we snuck one in there.
Good job.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
but I think there maybe was like, maybe they reviewed it because Craig cursed a lot, like early on, and then it was just such a nuisance to like fix it for stuff. He stopped cursing.
Yeah. So you thought it might have been the song "Half Dead and Dynamite" that you?
I can't remember. It might have been that. I just can't remember.
And this is what the late night conversation that you had with Mike was about. Everyone else is asleep, and he is asking you about the band, and then you highlight that the album "Half Dead and Dynamite" was your favorite.
That's everything I remember. Last down, since somebody must have slid me a Sherman. Bar band, now they're busting out the beast of Borden.
I think at the time, because I think Fiestas and Fiascos had just come out.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I didn't let it sink in, but I think those songs are more well formed. But
Yeah.
I do like Half Dead and Dynamite because it was recorded in the basement, and it does have a very sign of the times feel for me.
Yeah.
And, like,
how
just-
so? How is it?
It's just more slightly lo-fi
Yeah.
to me. To be honest, when it was recorded. I don't really quite understand the technology. The final master was like out of phase, so like some bass just like evaporates.
Oh wow!
But I've always been the guy like who needs. I mean, when I was just learning guitar, like I could never hear the bass. It was always there, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm like, who needs bass? But so I just enjoyed. I mean, I like those. I like Half Dead and Dynamite, the song.
Yep.
LBI. These are songs that like I'm getting still pumped. We just played Red Rocks, and I was just getting pumped playing them.
Which songs from that album did you play?
We played Half Dead and Dynamite, To Live and Die in LBI, I Like the Lights, and I think that might be about it.
Yeah. You were saying at the time to Mike that you felt that kind of captured you guys, and just as you had transitioned into being what you sensed was a real band, like a real live band.
Yeah, because from our first record, that was mostly, I was still learning guitar.
Which you were learning initially from Craig.
Right. Yeah, and then like our eventual drummer was playing bass on that record.
Yeah.
So we had a lineup change after that first record, and the first record is by the numbers sort of indie rock. It sounds like indie rock. It sounds, which means bad, like real bad at the time.
In relation to the later records, maybe.
Right. I don't think that it was mixed by this dude Casey Rice, and he was in Tortoise for a while, and we recorded it in Chicago, but I just don't. I mean, we were there we recorded and mixed in like 2 days, so it was like it wasn't this like long drawn out thing.
Do you have any favorite songs from that first record?
Mission Viejo is the strongest, and I've played that with Craig on some of his solo shows.
Oh, yes.
Mostly in the two performances. One was at the last time he played at Mill City Nights with his band, and then before that was at First Avenue, where it's just the two of us playing guitar.
Nice.
So I'm just like, oh great, and so it's like, you can't screw up now.
Which year was that?
That was in 2015.
And how did you guys decide to go back to that song in particular?
Craig had it in his solo set. He'd been doing it.
You already had it
on his tour.
Yeah,
like he's been doing it, just different versions of it and stuff. So we like modified the arrangement a little bit.
So yeah, if I understand correctly, you tracked that record, but it wasn't released for quite some time after you tracked it. Yeah.
Yeah, we recorded it in. Let me see. I'm getting my years all mixed up. Well, we basically just had 2 records come out in 1998.
Yeah.
So I think both Half Dead. So our debut record came out in sort of the spring or near the summer, and then I believe Half Dead came out in the fall. So we had 2 full lengths in the same year.
Yeah. I think
within months.
Could that have been? I think that was 97.
It's maybe possible. Yeah. It's all a blur.
And then, as it should be.
Yeah.
Then Entertainment and the Arts EP, was that just after those 2 records then?
Oh, yeah. I just don't know if it's 98 or 99.
Yeah, that was 98.
I think it's 98, yeah.
So you had 2 records in 97.
Yeah, and then we went through a bass player change.
Yeah.
And then technically Fiestas came out in December or something in 99, but then it was kind of released everywhere or something in 2000, beginning of the year or something.
Sure.
I think Tad, our bass player, like Tad's in Hold Steady with Craig.
Yeah.
His first show was Halloween of 1998 at the Soap Factory, and we dressed as pirates.
Yes, I read about that show, and you launched yourself into the drum kit.
Well, we hung a rope.
Yeah.
From the ceiling,
like a pirate.
Yeah. And we had a plank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people were in costumes.
All 4 of us, yeah.
And not just you, but friends of yours.
Well, it was Halloween, so everybody was dressed up as something.
There was the eye patch guy.
Yeah, like
and
Matt Franson. Yep. And so that was a messy show in terms of performance. But yeah,
but that was his first show.
That was Tad's first show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. And then, I got on the rope and just, I had some momentum and I just couldn't control it, and I just went into the drum set. But miraculously, our drummer the snare was still standing.
He said that the 3 parts of the kit
that he needed
to finish the song were remained intact.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a really fun show. I have like one picture of just me. That's it.
From that show,
there's no documentation. I wish that was on film.
Yeah, there was a City Pages article about that show.
Right, that was just a ride along because that was '98 and
it was a big Halloween show.
Yeah, it was a big Halloween show. So Keith Harris wrote that article, and he rode around with us to the Turf Club.
Yes.
And we were already it was like Colin. So we were in our van just going to the Turf Club, saw a show, and then he followed us because our set was like at midnight or something at the Soap Factory.
Yep.
And so we had a lot of time to kill.
There's a lot going on. How?
I don't know, like back in the day, because now I'd be like drunk. I guess I was drunk because like the set was kind of a wet. But like now I'd be like, man, I'm not just gonna like drink water till midnight. What's going on?
Yeah, 1999, it came in a well like a cool crowd. She put her fingers on my neck just like a tourniquet. He popped me in his mouth just like a cigarette, then he split.
That was a memorable show. I read a lot about a Loring Park festival show.
Yeah, epic.
Involving fireworks.
Yep.
And the explosion and setting on fire, perhaps not entirely intentionally because of the fireworks.
No. Like I had lighter fluid all over the top of my amp. I burned it on purpose.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, can you describe that show?
Yeah, well, it's really just the end of the show.
Yeah.
We usually ended our set with the song "Let's Get Incredible."
Yes, I love that song.
And the show was taking place in an alley between the old Loring bar, which is now Lurcott, and there's an alley back there. I think and I don't remember the other business. I think it's called Bird right now.
Yeah.
So it's an alley back there, and there's a bunch of people in that little slot. But they also had a stage out in front of the Loring, out in the street, and our nemesis band, 12 Rods, was on stage.
How are they the nemesis band? I know 12 Rods.
Well, I think there was it wasn't me, but there was like a shared girl relationship situation between our two drummers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so something got contentious. I think a letter was sent. I think their drummer sent he did.
Okay.
So he sent a threatening letter, and so that's why our EP is on our own label called Threatening Letters, and it's based off of the fact that we just got a threatening letter from the drummer of 12 Rods.
I knew that you had your own record label for that record called Threatening Letters. That's the story why it's called Threatening Letters.
And so we're playing this song, and usually it can kind of turn into chaos. At the end of the song, it's just kind of chaos and it's a lot of noise. Tad's playing bass with all these pedals and stuff. So I usually tape down just a G note on the keyboard.
Oh yes.
And then I usually played sort of some kind of solo thingy or whatever. Yeah. But on this particular occasion, there were this one dude was climbing up. There was this arch way, and so the vertical poles going up were kind of right near the stage, and there's one guy that was 8 feet up, and I'm gonna get higher than that dude right now.
Yeah. You're in the band.
So the song's going on, and you know how you put your guitar behind you? It's looks cool with Bruce or something. Yeah. And so I did that, and
the synth can play itself. It's taped down.
Right. And so there's a lot of noise being emanated. So I go up just as high as he is, and this is about 8 to 9 feet above the stage at this point.
Yeah.
And the whole thing starts swaying back and forth, and so I get kind of scared, and so. I come down, right? And the song's still going on. He's still going up there. People are come down, dude. And I forgot that I had a solid state head at the time.
Okay.
And so I didn't care if I burned it.
Yeah.
And so I had lighter fluid with me, and I think I just at that moment I had a friend hell, you help me do this pyro.
Yeah.
And so I put lighter fluid all over, or he did or something, all over the top of my amp head, and he lit it, so that was on fire, about a 3 feet flame. Wow. And Tad always had fireworks going, so I think he just had some Roman candles, and as he's playing bass, just lit off some Roman candles. We end the song, and I said something to the effect of it was all quiet. And I almost hit Craig with my I almost knocked his face off
as you're coming down.
Well, no, because I was swinging. I forgot I was also swinging my guitar around. I smashed it.
Yeah.
And the bottom part of my guitar broke off, but it was still held on by the strings.
Oh, right.
And so it was swinging around like a mace, and I came within an inch of his face. I would have shattered his jaw. I would have just fucked him up. And so
that would have been quite a different story.
Yeah. It would have been a bad scene. And anyway, calm down. I missed him, and I said something to the effect let's see 12 Rods beat that. And then the whole crowd in unison like put up their arm, like yeah. It was the most amazing like experience I've had as like an orator. Like
perfect timing.
Like man, like I can see how like just commanding power at a podium must feel like.
Well, you just have to.
Yeah, rile up the troops.
Yeah, remember the steps.
Yeah.
Have a battle climbing higher than the other guy.
That was amazing.
Fireworks.
Well, that day didn't turn out so sweet because then I showed like a short film after that in the same alley, and my friend's like, I think your girlfriend's getting in a car with some other dude. And so I'm like, what? And so I walk over I see them in a car, right?
Yeah.
He's got his old jalopy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's not starting. Not starting. So I just walk over to the passenger side window and like tap on the window where she is.
Yeah.
She rolls it down and she's like, I'm just gonna go home. Dan's gonna drive me home.
Dan, this mysterious Dan. Yeah.
And so he finally gets this, like I didn't trust anything was happening. He finally gets the car started and they drive off. And I wait on her steps and she finally comes back after 2 hours, but I knew our relationship was over, but she eventually married that guy.
Oh, she married Dan with the car that won't start?
Yeah. So it was a sad ending to the most epic day.
Yeah. Well, a very, very happy day and less sad ending than Craig Finn's face getting destroyed.
That would have been way bad.
By your instrument. Speaking of Craig, he referred to you in a Pitchfork piece when all the records came out in 2009 when they were re-released, and he was talking about the difference between Lifter, Puller and the Hold Steady. He called you the X Factor.
The guys are feeling good about their liquor run. The girls are kind of flirting with the setting sun. We all kind of fumble through the jitterbug. We were all powered up on some new upper drug.
So watch out, listeners. It says when people are close to Steve, then they act differently. And great things happen. So that's what Craig said.
There's something to be said for that. I think early on, I didn't try to get in the way of the art process. I was just the comic relief. At the time, I wasn't really confident early on in my abilities and anything.
Yeah.
As time progressed, I began to assert myself, especially with Fiestas and Fiascos, with a lot of the keyboard stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Space humping.
Right. To be honest, Craig was sort of losing interest during that point. He's just I just want to write lyrics. And so Tad and I would go into the studio, to the practice space. Yeah, and let's just keep Craig interested.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for doing so. Yeah.
It's because he was our manager too, and it was kind of in booking. He was he was burning out. Yeah.
Craig was, yeah.
Yeah, we did it all ourselves. So he was really kind of getting burnt out on a lot of things. So Tad and I took it upon ourselves to just sort of make it a little easier for him.
And I was down on my knees when the chaperone said that it was time for me to leave. We had some massive nights, and every song was right. All I wanted was time. Yeah, your friends are pretty cool, and my friends are acting cool.
All the characters and stuff that come into being on that record, did they exist before?
Yeah, there's some threads.
Yeah.
There used to be a great Wikipedia page, and you might be able to find it in our archive somewhere. And
sure.
I have it. I did screen grabs up because it was so great.
Yeah.
It's the folklore of Lifter Puller.
Yeah.
It's so good. Because to be honest, I was reading it that's awesome. It makes a lot of sense.
Can you remember any particular things that you read that had that effect?
I can't.
Because obviously the Nice is
right.
This imaginary nightclub. Mike was quizzing Craig about whether it existed somewhere, and
no,
it doesn't. Yeah.
No.
You said it was like
Atlantis.
Atlantis. You said it was like Atlantis. Yeah.
Baby, ain't you heard about the nightclub called the Nice? They got the dries and the knife fights on every other Wednesday night. I can see all the stains in your white tights when you stand in the black lights down at the Nice. We were born in these nightclubs, and you make those propositions with your sexy little shoulder shrugs. You'll be covered up in powder drugs by the end of the
we never knew what the hell he was saying in the practice space because it's so loud.
Yeah.
And then we would go into the studio, and this wasn't really on the first record. This is sort of what started with Half Dead. We're like, oh, okay. And then we would just be joking around like, what about this one drug dealer doing this to this? And so we would say stuff like that.
So you guys would give him ideas for
Kind of. I don't know if he took them or whatever, but then like we'd play a song and then you couldn't hear his words. You know what I mean? Because he'd be mumbling or just, trying to just doing scats over it or something.
Yeah. So perhaps,
but then we'd be surprised when we would go into the studio like, oh, this is cool.
Nice. Do you know where, by any chance, the idea of wanting Nightclub Dwight dead at the end of the record, do you know the genesis of that?
No, I think that maybe, because that particular song was made like in the studio with Eric Olson. And so he was like, that's Pro Tools 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Dave Gardner and Eric Olson were the engineers on our records, the last two at least, the EP and Fiestas. And so we had some time, like we actually recorded for free at Burr Holland, which was across from the Monte Carlo. We just sort of paid the engineers money because I think Josh Holland, who owned it, just wanted other bands to start coming in there.
Right. Which records?
This is called Burr Holland Studio. I don't know, it doesn't exist anymore, but it's across from the Monte Carlo on Washington.
At what stage were you recording?
This is Entertainment in the Arts and Fiestas. We recorded there.
Cool.
Just huge studio, like full, like legit. It's like isolation rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was an awesome experience. But then I think we just had some time to kill, and I think Craig took the opportunity to sort of button up the story, just to come full circle with it. Because maybe in his mind it was over already.
The band.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because that is quite, kind of wraps up. It's like at the end of a TV season or something, isn't it? Yeah.
I think at some point it might be easier to write songs if you like, okay, we're sitting at a table right now, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna write songs within this table, like as this universe.
Yep.
And so I'm not gonna write about like maybe like love and sunshine and cars is outside the table.
Okay.
Whereas like drugs and nightlife is inside the table. So I'm just gonna really concentrate on this.
Finally, the guy with the eye patch arrives. He was tripping wet with gin fizz. He was half dead and dynamite, with a needle-marked arms like the frontman in some grunge band. A big straw hat and a liquid orange suntan. He cooled himself off with a Japanese hand fan. Motioned for silence, and then he began. He said,
"You know this clown they call the Nightclub Dwight? He's got a place called the Nice Nice that he won rolling dice. Dwight likes the lights, he likes roaming the foam. Now Dwight's never home, now that Dwight's got a Jones. Dwight was pretty nice when he took out that loan from us, but now Dwight don't got the courtesy to pick up the phone for us. He made a joke, he leaned in close, and then he spoke, he said..."
We, as a band, were not living this lifestyle. This is like fiction, this is noir.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't really do it because I'd be like, oh, you're ripping off Craig. But I wonder if, like, songwriting wise, if you're like, I'm gonna think about this one block, right? And I'm gonna write all the songs that can happen on this one block.
Yeah.
And so I think that might focus him.
Yeah. Yeah, Franklin and
I mean, it doesn't exist. I don't think it does. I think you can map out more of Hold Steady stuff than Lifter Puller stuff because it just doesn't exist.
Lake Street, though. Lake Street.
But there's a lot of just made up things.
Yeah, nice. There were some other tracks being recorded after Fiestas and Fiasco, so like
Four Dicks.
Yeah, Four Dicks, and that has some of the same characters evolving, and there's the four horsemen of the apocalypse and encounter with them. So, and I read that you guys were lyrically moving west.
Too many pills, they made a pilgrimage from upstairs at the Nice to the ATM. Katrina got a little bit religious again. She said, Lord grant me 20. She said, Lord grant me 10. Cause I could get by with 10 if I could get a little bit from my friends. Walked into the bathroom and I found the four horsemen. Wagering and arguing over which one gets to do you in.
I guess he was.
Do you know what the significance of that was, or what the evolution seemed to be?
I wonder if we did that last West Coast tour, and then we like kind of recorded a couple songs.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like, because we usually typically toured in the spring.
Yeah.
And we broke up on July of 2000.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if we wrote some songs quickly, because we had Secret Santa Cruz on. Well, Secret Santa. I'm asking you. Secret Santa Cruz on Fiestas and Fiascos.
It isn't.
Yeah, I don't think it is. And so we had that, and then we had there's like a 7-inch one. I can't even remember.
Yeah,
like, who knows?
Yeah,
I don't even know my discography. But yeah, there were some West Coast themes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And death was just watching, getting off to all the coffin.
So simultaneous to Lifter Puller, you also had the Hawaii show. Is that that was the same time? Yeah.
Yep.
So how far into Lifter Puller did you start that going, and what was the original motivation?
The original motivation was I had a smoke machine and a strobe light, and like early on, 96, 97, we had a lot of parties at our apartment.
Yeah.
And I would eventually just be like, yo, it's dance party time at 10, or like late in the party.
Yep.
And then that I had a 4-track machine at the time, and I was writing just like lo-fi, guided by voices style songs.
Oh, really? So actually quite different.
Yeah, really lo-fi stuff. Like I have a cassette tape of like the lo-fi Hawaii, it's what it's called.
Really?
Yeah.
Will you ever do anything with that, do you think?
I better digitize it soon before.
Yeah.
I think I digitized it at some point.
Still.
Yeah. I have the tape. It's in
I'd love
it's
to
like
hear
in
that.
my box with my passport, that one tape.
Yeah.
You know, I have the tape. I would pop that into stereo systems when we used to go on tour now.
Okay.
And so
yeah.
I had a little keyboard, and I had a helicopter headset mic with big earphones like what we're wearing
exactly,
right now.
Yeah. It's not just a mic. What's this
headset, it's a mindset,
yes.
or something like that. So that was fun. That was just me. I'd ask for someone for an ironing board. I travel with the smoke machine and strobe light.
Yeah.
Wherever we stayed and crashed at the shows.
Uh-huh.
And then I met Jacques Waite, who is in town. So we became roommates.
Yeah.
And he had a reel-to-reel 4-track.
They have good taste in roommates.
Yeah. And so we started writing songs together, or I had the songs, and I'm like, so I'd come with him with the demo, right? And then he would he'd program all the drums into this like red drum machine box,
right?
But that it also could play like keyboard sounds too. I'm not really sure what it was.
Okay.
But I would come to him with songs, and then like he would almost like produce them like in full. And so then I just had to sing on them, and then he would burn his solos on them.
Wow.
And so
that became the Hawaii show.
Yeah, that became the first thing, and that was called I had 7.5 minutes of material.
Yeah.
And so shortly after that, there were funny songs like Super Fucked Up and the song called Babysitter. But during this period, I was a member of the St. Paul Neighborhood Network, and I learned how to edit VHS stuff.
Ah, yes.
And so my friend Tavo and I, we filmed like a 7.5 minute video that we showed at First Avenue, and we finished it that day, like at the Cable Access Network, and ran to First Avenue and showed it before this fashion show.
I mean, I've seen the video. It doesn't seem like something that was just finished.
Yeah, it's like in 2 parts on YouTube, because I think when I uploaded it to YouTube, it had like a time limit of 3.
Yep. Second part starts with children. Yep.
Right. Children. That was made, and then that tape I made a whole bunch of copies at the Cable Access Network, and then when I went on tour, or I gave a bunch of copies to other people, it was kind of funny because like all these kids from Milwaukee, people come back from tour, they're like, we want more tapes. And so eventually like I like put a band together, just to lip sync those songs. And so that's how the live show became a thing. Early on, it was just a drum set and people just like fooling around.
Okay.
But then it started getting into costume changes, so I needed a place to do costume changes. So I got foam core. So I built 8 foot by 8 foot like a Marshall amp. It just started with one.
Yeah.
And so that acted as like sort of a dressing room, so you could do costume changes.
You had a Marshall amp dressing room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just like a big 2-dimensional square.
Think so, Minneapolis, St. Paul. There's plenty of girls and guys right here in the land of 10,000 booty calls.
Early on, it was just like a different group of people. Like we'd played Bastille Day outside the old New French.
Yeah.
And I literally went to the Guthrie Theater and rented all these like Revolutionary War costumes, and like I had no money at this.
Dressed them all up, like the
whole 6 or 7 of us were just like all we were doing was playing fake instruments and like lip syncing.
Yeah.
But we looked good.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's a long story to tell actually.
This is I'm glad you're telling it. It's great.
That original crew, like there were like the makeout artists, so all they did was make out.
Yo, it's Friday, ladies. Yesterday's gone and tomorrow's gonna bum you out if you don't make out today. Do you remember last year when it started to rain and we took cover in the parking garage and dudes with modes were trying to parallel park next to chicks with heavenly souls? Well, hallelujah, the higher the hair, the closer to God. And you can suck face in sex world if you want to speak in tongues. Stop kissing in French and do it on Friday, amen. And that's what I'll say in American.
Our set in this period of time was only 7.5 minutes long. That's it. It's all the material we had.
So was it the same as the video?
Yep.
The same songs in the video.
We would play that video in order from the whistle song to the beginning.
Yep.
And the whistle song in the end. Like we would enter, do the songs, and then leave to the whistle song.
And would the video show as well?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So that was just an audio experience for that.
Yeah.
And then eventually, somehow, like, I don't really know. There's been, I think, over the years, at least 30 people have been in a show, 30 to 35. It eventually evolved to, like, it ballooned to, like, normally a crew of 5 to a crew of, like, 10.
Uh-huh.
And then I added another fake amplifier to hide people, because what happens is, like, you can have like a band fool around for a second, but that gets boring. And by the way, the Hawaii Show is original music with me lip syncing to my own voice, so it's sort of like Milli Vanilli on purpose.
Yep.
That can get old, kind of. And so what I would do was I would have commercials, but they were still audio based.
Yeah.
And I would bring out props.
So what stage did these commercials come in?
I was doing a catering job, and every night, I don't know how I had all this energy. My friends had this energy.
Take the chicks and we gotta go. Ladies, call me later.
We were creating music and jokes every day. And so I started to amass like a huge library I could pull from.
Yep.
And so the sets ballooned into normal 35 to 40 minute sets. And I would add all these my production songs with the Jacques Waite produced songs.
Oh, yes.
And so like I eventually got better at it, so they would sort of sound cool. But then I got into like taking samples of songs, like karaoke versions actually, and changing the words like Weird Al. So what I would do is I would have sets, I would sequence them, and if I was lazy and like, oh, we got a show next week, I'm like, well, let's just do the same set. But 9 times out of 10, I'm like, we got to do something new. We got to do just one thing, because it was really hard to produce like a 3-minute thing, get the props ready. What do we do? Because we never, the way we practiced was like we would just talk about it, and then we might go into the parking lot of the club that night and then sort of like play the set on a boombox or a car,
right?
And then just like I'm positioning people where they go.
Yeah, so it's all blocking.
It's all blocking.
Yeah.
And so it evolved over time till the end of our career at the last show at the Uptown Bar. 2009.
The final ever show at the Uptown Bar.
The final ever show.
Involved the Hawaii Show.
Yep.
Who else was on that bill?
The Twilight Hours.
Okay.
Like I was like, I don't want to play last, I want to party. So, so we played like second to last.
After all these years and crushing a million beers, whoa, 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 they said we've got to go. Oh no, that's the truth, and the truth just blows.
did he do anything different for that show?
Yeah, I wrote a song. I saw Jacques Wait at Cause, and I'm like, hey man,
which is where we met, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Uptown's closing, we gotta do something. I'm like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna write this like not this hard ballad, you know, just like a Dissension on C or something.
Okay.
And so I did, and I'm like, Jacques, I got the song, and then he basically turned it into like Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses. He like literally did like kind of came full circle. Like I gave him a really crappy demo, and he made it amazing.
Wow.
It's a little long-winded. It's about 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's literally a hair metal ballad.
Did you ever release that?
No, it's just on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube then.
Yeah, it's called the Uptown Monster Ballad.
Nice.
On the title, I was like, I have to give Jacques credit. So it says featuring Jacques Wait, like right there. And so people think that Jacques is singing. And so it's really funny.
Wow.
People were like, you know, had their lighters going up. It was just sort of a sentimental send-off for the Uptown.
You wrote that specifically knowing that would be for the final night at the Uptown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I was playing, and I knew that I wanted to like have something Uptown based.
Did you know that you would lay that project to rest simultaneously, or would?
Yeah. There was a side project to the Hawaii show, which is kind of strange. It's called the Warm Up Act. Oh. And the Warm Up Act was that was hip hop based, and that was a very short set, also like 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
And we just rapped over, like I would loop Rocky Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions, and then I'd have like, so we would dress up in Adidas outfits, and it was just sort of like Beastie Boys version of just lip syncing.
Yeah.
And so we did that a couple times. We opened for the whole steady at the Triple Rock, and
so that went on a little bit longer.
Yeah. We toured around with the Hawaii show, which is just nuts. Like,
and you opened for Nickelback.
Yeah. We opened for Nickelback at the Quest, the old Prince Club Quest in Minneapolis.
What was it? What was that experience like?
Well, the short story is we got booed, not off the stage, but I don't know how you get booed off a stage. I think if you cower too much, you just like leave. But we had the fake amps going, and then obviously, literally our guitars are inflatable, and you know, people just wanted to see Nickelback, and for some reason they must have thought that what we were doing was real, and that they felt hurt and betrayed and sort of like ripped off.
How odd.
About the fact that they paid money to see a fake band.
but
it's performance. It's performance art.
Yeah,
the Hawaii show is performance art. I got hooked up with 3 shows with 93X here, the sort of the metal-y station in town. Yeah. And so each one of them was sort of challenging in its own way. I actually sat in the dressing room after the Nickelback show, and because I was just used to normal indie rock shows where people clap even if they don't like your music. Mm-hmm. And so this was like a first real deal. I sat in the dressing room and I was like, wow, that really affected me. Like, I don't even know what to think right now.
Yeah.
And so like I just stayed in the dressing room by myself for a while. And the dudes that were on stage with me didn't care. They were just having fun.
Yeah.
Because I literally had a keg of beer on stage, like an empty one. And one guy's job was just to hand out fake Solo Cokes, full of fake beer.
And it turns out drinking fake beer.
Yeah, and like I think one dude did a keg stand, but it was just sort of performance art. But it really affected me in a way. But I got over it quickly. I evolved the show, and I made it. That was an era where we just sort of just played the songs and lip synced to them, and then I added sort of a Saturday Night Live vibe to it, using sketch comedy and a lot of like audio cues and things that happened.
Right. So then it kind of preempting anyone who would be like, this isn't a real band, would be like that this is a completely unique experience.
Yeah, I challenged them. I gave them a more of a comedy show rather than just a rock show.
Yeah.
And so it was a video project, and then it just evolved into like, let's do this live. In rock clubs, and everyone was really accepting, except for the Nickelback show.
Yeah, the Nickelback fans. Trust the Nickelback fans.
But as we all know, Nickelback fans are stupid.
Let's transition to the Ronnie Buxtons, which is a current band that you have.
The Ronnie Buxtons was started, I believe, in 2011. I was just itching to be in a band. I was micromanaging the Hawaii show, like the 12 people, and then even like we had little tiny props and things like, where's the fake blood? It was really stressful on show days, and so I'm like, oh, I just want to be in a band where 4 people bring their 25% to the show. Like I just want to be in charge of my 25%.
Yeah.
And so that's when I sort of put out a Facebook post. I'm like, hey, just looking for a drummer. And that's where I started. Misha, he was like kind of on board. He's our drummer right now. And so it was just the 2 of us, and we just played for a little bit. And
it's a
like,
2-piece.
We didn't play shows. We were just practicing.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, we need to get other people in here. He's like, oh, I used to play like Slayer covers in the basement with my friend Adam. He's like a really good guitar player. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, have him show up. The dude shows up, and it's like he's like a super good guitar, like way bit. He's like burnt so like more of a standard solo dude.
Sure.
And so I'm like, all right, yeah, this is cool. And so it was 3 of us for a while. And we just, you know, making sort of like poppy, carsy kind of stuff. And then I met with Scott Cooks. I knew him from the Muddy Waters days. And then I was at like a 1-year-old baby birthday party, and our keyboard Janine was there. And I was like, man, we could probably use a keyboard player too. And I'm like, Janine, because I used to know her. She used to play in the scene. She was in a band called Jan.
Oh, yes.
And she has really catchy songs, and her voice is great.
Yeah.
And then she also plays keys. She can play violin, all this stuff. So I was like, Janine, do you want to play in a band again? She's like, yeah, sure. And so that's how we formed. It's trying sometimes because we can't, all 5 of us, schedule-wise, get in the same room. So when it does happen, it's super fun. Yeah. But a lot of the times it's just maybe 2 guitars and drums, and you don't get the full thing. So it's a slow burn. I think we did release our record in 2015.
Yeah,
so
getting together. Yeah.
From where we formed to the time it was released, it was like 4. We had finished it in like 3.5, but like from a release thing or something, we just wanted to wait till the spring or something. I don't even know why.
Yeah,
it's like there's like 6 people that come to our shows anyway. Yeah.
Well, I saw the first show of yours I saw was at Cause, and it was part of Jenny Dalton residency. Yeah. And it was great. Was that the original lineup that tracked the record? And that must have been around about the time of the record coming out.
Yeah, that was probably 2014, 2015 or something like that. Yeah, so it's like we're not too far removed for like having fun and playing, being able to be like a working band playing shows. Yeah. Right now, that's just not the case because our bass player left after we recorded these 4 new songs that we just did,
which haven't been released yet.
No,
but will be out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to decide like, should I just do the vocals at my studio at my office? Things like that. We definitely need to do overdubs because there's some major screw ups that are happening.
Screw ups in terms
under the guitars, some of the guitar stuff. Okay. Like we were in such a panic to record the basic tracks with our bass player before he left. Like our lead guitar player just hadn't come up with sweet parts yet. Right. And so, I mean, he can just do them whenever. Yeah. I mean, I had my parts. They were songs, so
because
I'm playing more of the rhythm.
Songs, you're the primary songwriter.
Yeah, in this band, yeah.
So you had the songs, and then the other people were working on their parts.
Right. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing because coming in with songs is one thing, but and don't get me wrong, we can fool around in the band room and like, oh my god, this is amazing, it's great, but then someone's got to arrange it, you know? Yeah. But for some reason, I think that, you know, it just if one dude's just writing the songs, it's just one person's perspective. Where I think that if people are really engaged in it and it's a democracy, I think that it's a better thing. It's really hard for me to explain what I'm talking about, but sometimes if you're just like, oh, here's how the song goes, come up with a part, it's just kind of like, well, are you guys a band or is it just one dude and hired guns?
Yeah, as a musician and as a person in a band who has previously been a front man songwriter for a band, I know exactly what you mean. Like when we try to break away from that, it's a lot more exciting.
Right.
It's more fun. It's so with Fiestas and Fiascos, it sounds like there was a movement in that kind of direction more so than before.
Yeah, but that's not every song. That's maybe like the last 3 or 4 that we needed to fill out or something like that.
I encountered a fun story about the genesis of your synth part for Space Hump in $19.99. That's such a good synth hook.
Oh, yeah. Where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
Oh, I can tell you. I was living in that house with Jacques Way and my other roommate, Jeremy Grosser. We would just joke around the apartment and go, this is about Danny DeVito. Dandy Dan Marino ain't no Dan DeVito. Dandy Dan Marino ain't no Dan DeVito. And so like, we would just kind of like fool around with that. And then I just went like in the practice space one time and I used the organ sound.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, man, that's cool.
That's the song.
And that was one of the ones that like sort of Tad and I had like sort of like worked out sort of a lot together.
Yeah.
And then like I think when Craig was there, he's like, let's just do this one thing. I was like, okay, sure.
What was the one thing that...
I can't remember. It was just more of an arrangement. Because he's like, I have an extra line or something. Like, let's just not change right now. Like, just do it 3 times instead of 4. Something like that.
Yeah.
Once he stared to come up with the lyrics. And the song title is like Dan, our drummer, used to be in a band called, not The Queers, but Queer in Boston.
Okay.
And there was a band called Space Hump in 1999. The song title has nothing to do with the lyrics.
Yeah, I wondered what the connection was. And the answer is nothing.
That's what she said. She says it's great getting high. I want everybody who's been eyeing my girl to slowly close their eyes. Said it's great getting high. I want everybody who's been eyeing my girl to slowly close their eyes and think about what you got, compare it to what I've got, and ask yourself, what do you think my girl wants?
And that's a song that actually, I can't remember all of the lyrics right now, but it doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't have the same characters.
No, it's just like he's talking about his girlfriend. Like, what do you think my girl wants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you would be playing synth and guitar for many of those songs. And you were learning guitar from Craig.
Yeah, Craig. So Craig and I went to college together, yeah.
And you were the original, so that was the beginning of Lifter Puller. Is that correct?
Technically, there's sort of this unwritten history that like even Wikipedia doesn't touch on. After we graduated in 1993, Craig moved back here.
Okay.
And he was just sort of, he lived in an apartment with 2 brothers, John and Dave Gerlach.
Okay.
And so those guys started playing some songs, and Craig was always just sort of, he was back in the day always hanging out at Twin Tone. I get this like, because we have a music store in Minneapolis called Twin Town. So Twin Tone.
But the record label.
He'd always be at Twin Tone just hanging out and stuff like that. So he was kind of, he's weaving us way into the scene. Yeah. And so word got out that he had like a sort of a band that was playing in a basement, and they had a show. I think they did. I hadn't even lived in Minneapolis. They did a show at the Uptown or something like that. And then Craig, during this period, called me. He's like, what are you doing? This is like sort of almost a year after we had graduated.
Okay.
I'm like, nothing, man. I'm like literally, I'd worked at a ground round as a waiter, and I was literally washing dishes at this like restaurant. Yeah. He's like, come out here and be in a band. He asked me
come out to Minneapolis and be in a band.
But I'd never checked out Minneapolis. And this is on a Friday, and I'm like, okay, dude, I'm leaving Monday. I literally left 3 days later. And my mom was crying because I left at like 5 a.m, like sort of somewhere near Memorial Day, 1994.
Yeah.
And I had like 800. I had a Jeep Wrangler. I had to put an amp in there and my guitar. Okay. And I had like $800 in my pocket. And I got a job and an apartment like right away. I just went to like the bulletin board at the U and got a place in Dinkytown. And I got a job at the Unique Thrift Store on County Road D. That
must have been a pretty good job, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was college educated and then maybe a manager after a short time.
So all of a sudden you had a band and you were a manager?
He was like more just like maybe just come feel it out, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything in Jersey, so I'll just do this. So those guys got a show, those 3 dudes, with opening for Sebadoh. In the main room, like right away.
And this was the first.
This is like literally their second or third show, and it's the first one I'm seeing.
What's the band called?
It's called Lifter Puller, and I'm in the crowd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is literally 1994.
Okay.
And so I've seen the show, and I had already been like learning the songs, and like if I was up there that day, I'd been really, really nervous. But I was in the crowd. I was in the crowd, and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. I don't know how I feel right now because I'm like kind of in this band.
Yeah, you're becoming a member.
And then I'm like, wow, this is like, how can this be happening? Like it was so hard to explain because like this band, I'm like, wait, you guys practice in that basement, and I just saw it, and you guys are on the stage, and it was like sold out.
Yeah, opening for Saturday.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, this is like what I want to do. And so I just sort of just really practiced. I don't know how to better say it. And then my first show was might have been in like spring, and then my first show with the band, and I can't remember. I think John just quit.
Okay.
John was the bass player. It was like a 3-piece.
Yeah.
And I think he literally played like 2 or 3 shows and then was gone.
Yeah.
And then we sort of reformed with Dan Monick. He moved back to Minneapolis, and then we played a show like opening for this band called Juno 44.
Okay, yeah.
Like literally, I think it was in June of 1994.
Let's say you were practicing guitar, because that's what Craig had been teaching you guitar.
Yeah, I only play guitar. There's no keyboards on the first record.
So when you were initially being taught guitar by just your roommate Craig, had you played other instruments before then?
No.
Yeah.
So he started teaching me at Boston College.
Yeah.
He was my roommate my sophomore year, and we, for homecoming, like he was teaching me like some 3 chords, and then he's like, write your own songs. Like that was it.
Yeah.
Like he literally just taught me 3 chords. That's really how he just taught me. He just like write some songs down. So I did, and then like I had like a top 10 list.
Yeah.
Like I was like I lived in a sort of a dorm room with 8 dudes.
Yeah.
And so every week my dumb songs, like they'd be like, what song's number 1 this week? And like so I'd go out there and like I couldn't play a whole song. I would just kind of play parts.
Nice.
Because I couldn't understand the concept of playing a whole song. It's too hard.
Yeah. But you could play like the hooks.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Minneapolis, and then you know, Craig, it's more about like indie rock, like chord shapes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, at some point you learn that you don't necessarily have to make a chord that you find in a book.
That's right.
You can sort of like make your own shape and like maybe have an open string. So he was just exposing me to things like that.
And he would always have his guitar tuned to D,
he's like he's drop
chords.
He's drop D.
Yeah.
That's how I play now. When I play with LIFTER PULLER now, I have to play standard tuning. Yeah, and then eventually, I believe, like, after that first year or so, I had a little tiny Casio, the one that I used for the Hawaii show at the late night shows.
Yep.
I would tape that. I wouldn't even have a stand. It was so tiny. I would tape it onto my amp, so I would actually, like, we introduced it for a couple songs. And I think I literally just went into my same amp. I had 2 inputs.
Oh, okay.
And so I wouldn't face the crowd. I'd be like turned around.
But when you're playing the
because it was only like 2 songs.
You know which songs were the culprits that converted you to guitar and synth?
It's the songs on Half Dead Dynamite.
Okay.
I don't know. It probably isn't Half Dead Dynamite because like that sound is so integral to the keyboard that I bought at Best Buy.
Oh.
It's for any of you listening, it's a CTK 480 by Casio.
Yeah.
It was made in 96 or so. 97. I think they made a couple. The sound bank exists in a couple different models, but I bought it at Best Buy for like $89. But since the LIFTER PULLER reunions are happening, I've been on eBay, and now I have 3 of them.
Oh, great! So you can destroy too.
Well, yeah, or just like, you know, spread them. Like I spread them around. When I was practicing, I had one at my work, one at my apartment, and one at my practice space. But they're basically like toys. They're not very sturdy or anything, but they're okay.
So that's what you're playing on the Entertainment and Arts as well. Yeah. I really like the song "Roaming the Phone."
Yeah.
And that's got a really unconventional structure, and you know the keyboard is very prominent.
Yep.
On that, and that seems unlike other Lifter Puller songs to me. Like, how did that song come about?
I think we were listening to a lot of like Girls Against Boys at the time.
Yeah.
Band. So it's like it's sort of a dancey bass number. I mean, you can probably make a correlation to like the nightlife. It's just like clubby Lifter Puller. A lot of times Craig was playing such discordant chords.
Yeah.
Like even when we did these reunions, he's like, I just can't remember like what my chord shape was.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, just play like the root note. I'm like, no one's gonna know.
Yeah.
But because it does. He's like, well, because he had a distinct chord that he was playing. But I'm like, no one's gonna know. Yeah. Just play the root. I'm doing something just melodic. I'm just going like, la da 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 da. So the melody that I'm creating is sort of adding some sweetness to Craig's like sort of sour.
Yeah. So that was how it was working then, and when you recreate it live now, it's the same kind of.
Yeah, like we played that at Red Rocks. It was sweet.
Yeah.
And all the trash got gas. And sit and sniff and sing along with the soundtrack. You know where you are. You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die.
So playing together as Lifter Puller, are you tempted to write together?
No. That's not something that I would want to do.
Yeah. So it's...
I've just changed so much. Like, I think like, I don't know. If you're a fan of Lifter Puller, you probably wouldn't even like what we made if it was new. Just because, I don't know, my abilities have changed, and I guess what I'm into is different or something.
Yeah.
I think rock and roll is funny. It's just like, oh wow, you can be this like. I used to always make this statement in the 90s. I would be like, oh, isn't that band from the 70s? And they were playing around or something like that. So now like a band from the 90s is like a band from the 70s. Mm-hmm. It's to me, or like, so it's that space of time. Yeah, it's that 20-year space.
Yeah.
And so rock and roll is weird because it gives you this like second life sometimes.
The foam and the fingerless gloves, they felt so right. They felt so right. The microphone and the synthetic drugs, it sounds so nice. It sounds so nice. Your cokey kisses in the tunnel of love taste like black ice. They taste like black ice. The microphone and the synthetic drugs, it sounds so nice. Sounds so right.
I like how immersed in the details of your life the Ronnie Buxton songs are. On Dancing on a Coffee Table,
yeah,
like so much of what we've talked about, learn guitar from a guy named Craig, and take those 3 chords, specifically 3 chords, on the road, and then you got the amps exploding, for the luring part.
Yeah, if there was a video for that song, I've always pictured Craig as like a John Belushi kind of character from Animal House, just sitting on a stairwell.
Dancing on a coffee table, everybody's ready.
So does that song then continue to refer to the Hawaii party? Because in the middle of the song, the doorbell goes ding dong. Like in the video for the
Hawaii show, right? Yeah.
You're looking in your pockets. The pizza guy comes. Yeah.
The pizza guy comes.
Yeah. There was a blog post. What's it called? Answer Flower blog or something. They wrote a whole massive blog post. Their favorite video.
Oh, and they're breaking it down.
Yeah, it had given them more joy than any.
Oh, and then I commented, right?
Yeah, and you commented because they one of the many things that they loved about it was the arbitrariness of you looking in your pockets for no reason. And then you commented and said,
"You're like, no, the pizza guy was coming, and he's like at the door, and I'm like doing a take, like looking for my money."
But that becomes a lyric in Dancing on a Coffee Table in the middle of the song. The doorbell goes ding dong. Is that what is it?
It's not a reference. That's just the cops are coming in to break up the party.
Okay.
And then they get violent.
Yes, they do.
The cops came in and we scattered. We were beaten, bruised, and battered. We looked into the mirror ashamed.
and then the party goers surrender because it's a bender surrender.
Yeah. I love the lyrics.
Yeah. So they actually like get their ass kicked. For partying and dancing on a coffee table, for making a ruckus.
Yeah, they get their asses kicked and they get their legs broken, serves them right.
Well, that's just sort of a double entendre just about the coffee table. But,
break a leg.
Right.
No one cares about it.
Right, yeah, just having fun.
Yeah. So, and you're continuing to have fun. I really like the fact that there are songs like that which are like pure fun, but then I Saw You, for example,
right,
it is a bit more kind of heartfelt. And this is, so just going back to kind of where we began, you are talking with Mike Daly. Everyone else is asleep, and you're talking about where you want Lifter Puller to go, and you're saying with the next record, you wanted it to be like the day after the party. It's kind of becoming the next morning, and this makes me think of Lifter Puller versus the end of the evening, like, you know, we're gonna push
I
through
bet
to the
you
next
that
one.
I was thinking of, there's an image that's in the original Hawaii video where everyone is strewn about. It's like,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's a rip-off from some movie. That was my partner who helped me make that video.
Yeah,
he grabbed that from a video and just like, we're like, let's put this at the end as like this, like just sort of resolution to everything.
Yeah,
and so I bet you that's what I was thinking about during that interview. Like, let's just have these sort of somber songs about like having a hangover, trying to get through your Sunday.
Yeah. You announced like we need to prove our mellowness. At least I want to, and I think that, you know, when the Ronnie Buxtons, like, you do prove your mellowness, and you were talking about like you're in a different place, you got a different kind of mindset, same headset, different mindset. Yeah. Is that something that you're consciously doing with that band? Is it something you might do more in the future with a potential new band?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I like a lot of music, but I seem like to never be in a project that like wants to like be sappy or like have a lot of love songs or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could ever make like a full album just of like lower tempo songs. I don't know if that's necessarily me.
Yeah,
but I like to throw in a couple here and there, because like normally when I pick up the guitar, the first thing I do is like play downstroke power chords. Yeah. Just for musical ideas. If I put my mind to it, I probably could be a better keyboard player than a guitar player. But I sort of just like the handiness of an acoustic guitar laying around. And it's always just like when I pick it up, it's a 9 times out of 10 it's a D.
Right. Or a G. Or it goes back to your college days. Yeah.
But it's like it facilitates just the melody that's in my head.
Yeah. So let's maybe wind to a kind of mellow clothes with I Saw You, which has its lyrics about seeing someone standing there, seeing someone sitting there. So clearly when you sat down perhaps to write this song, you didn't go straight to the power chords. Like,
no.
Was this like a challenge that you set to yourself? Because this is quite different, I think, from all the other songs.
Well, I knew that like I wanted just sort of some like an orchestral sort of like a pomp and circumstance, like a song. Yeah, and the easiest way to do that in my mind is a descension on C.
Okay.
And so you're just going boom, 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 boom. So you're just going down the whole chords like that, just in the major scale.
Sure.
And so, and I knew, because you can layer that 1,000 different ways with violins, like the Beatles can come out and do everything, like all this
Get the Beatles
stuff.
on board, yeah.
Right. And so that's all that was. And for some reason, I thought I screwed the song up because I'm literally talking about being on a plane and I'm just coming from a ski resort. And the story is just about sitting next to a girl that's not really paying attention to you. And she's just literally sleeping on the plane, but you think she's beautiful and want to talk to her.
Yeah, she falls asleep at one moment. You're hoping when the pilot talks that she'll be awake and you can
she's
catch her
not.
eye, but
she's still sleeping.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's kind of because like a lot of times Hawaii was silly.
Yep.
You know?
Yes, I'd say.
And then when I stopped Hawaii, I was like, well, I'm gonna sort of be, but like that little needle like still kind of goes to the left of quirky. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's just that's just in me. But I like the visual. Someday I'll find a fuselage to shoot that video.
Yeah. Well, I began by saying various people had said different things about you. I said that, you know, Craig had said you were the X Factor, but what Mike Daly said about you was that if Craig was the voice in Lifter Puller, you were the pop music genius.
That's nice of him to say.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mike, if you ever hear this. Well, Craig said something to me once that I thought was cool. Because I never grew up like trying to mimic other people's songs or anything like that. So I didn't really have any like lowest common denominator that I was pulling from. So I was just making things up like sort of without any influence.
Yeah, which is
in a way
sometimes
because I didn't have a music collection. I mean, I just listened to Top 40 radio.
Yeah.
And so the problem was I could hum stuff, but I just couldn't. I didn't know how to make the sounds. So that's what I was doing. But I mean, a lot of people have different ideas. It's just, I mean, genius is a little far. I think that maybe just I have an inkling to just do more major key melodies.
Right. Yeah, the hooks.
Yeah.
Because when you were listening to those top 40 songs, like
they were there.
That's all you were learning. You were learning those bits.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to write the catchiest song in the world.
Yeah.
And that's always been my deal. Like, oh, this song's catchy. This song's catchy. Like, this song's really catchy. And so I aspire to that. I aspire to pop catchiness.
The catchy songs on the next Ronnie Buxton's record, how dissimilar are they to the ones on the...
One I'm really excited about. I really like this one song called Jeter and Jenny. It started out as this like, I'm gonna write a Bruce Springsteen song. Like, it's gonna be like these two lovers in high school, but then they sort of grow up a little bit and they start drifting apart. And so it's Jeter and Jenny are like a high school couple, and Jeter's in a band called Burnt Rubber. And he goes on tour, and Jenny just starts going out on the town.
Okay.
You know,
this is not the Jenny from the LIFTER PULLER.
No, this Jenny. It's Jenny's in rock and roll everywhere.
Yeah. But one of my favorite non-band names is the Wristband.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. But this is a good one too. So anyway, so he's in the band. Jenny is on her own.
And then so she starts. She dusts off her makeup case.
Yep.
You know. And then people were trying to tell Jeter and Jenny that it's not going to work because, like, you know, he's got a wandering eye for being rock and roll. But he in this, I had to trim down the song so much it loses a lot of the detail
of the story.
Right, but what eventually happens is like Jenny cheated on him, so like the rhyme is like he deleted her from his life. So there was all this backstory about. He worked at Tires Plus. That's why his band name's Burnt Rubber.
Oh, nice.
He's in a rock band, they're called the Wristband. And the song it out in Clubland, the dancer overdid it with the liquid tan. We'll have to talk about the liquid tan, she said.
If you look at our first record, I'm just like, damn, these songs are too long. Because I think that happens to a lot of bands. You know, you're getting into the 350 mark. Man, that song could be 3 minutes. Figure it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the new ones
that would make sense.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they're more concise. I actually take that back. We recorded 4 songs. 2 of them are just kind of like, I'll figure it out later. Like literally, I'm playing the same progression like almost the whole time. But the two of them are really fleshed out. One, that Jeter and Jenny is more like, kind of, it could be like the Hooters, to be honest, or like I don't know if you know that band.
Vaguely, yeah.
It's more of a poppy Bruce Springsteen song.
Cool.
Like I'm Going Down or something. Like
which was the aim.
Right, but this other song called The Midwesterner, that's sort of like a faux Western sort of, I don't know, song.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't really. It's not rockabilly, but it's got some pace to it.
Cool.
But The Midwesterner is just about a mailman who's never left the Midwest.
Yeah, I love how you kind of like pastiche or like pull on different styles, you know, in the existing album as well. Yeah,
that was. I think the difference between this new song Jeter and Jenny and The Midwesterner is like a bigger gap. In terms of style,
yeah.
But then the other 2 songs, they're just more like 70s rock or something. I kind of got in a Badfinger after the Breaking Bad stuff or something.
Yeah. Well, that's easy to do. Well, I can't wait to hear that record. Maybe when it comes out. Let's come and talk through it.
I think I won't do what I did last time, like because I wanted something tangible for the first record.
Yeah.
And I don't have money for
you
vinyl.
wanted like a CD or a vinyl.
Well, I did CD.
That.
I did like 200 CDs, but like now I think I have 150 CDs. Because like
I can relate.
Yeah. But you want that. You want that thing.
Yeah, of course. And the artwork.
Right.
And
You
which
spend
was
time.
the other thing that you highlighted that you really loved about Half Dead and Dynamite.
Yeah.
Your
that
friend
was
did the collage.
Yeah, I forget his name. I think it was Adam. He actually did a collage
Adam
under a mic.
Toht.
What's that?
Toht. T-O-H-T.
Yeah. He was in a cool, like, kind of glammy band at the same time of us. And he had a great look. He looked like Billy Idol or something.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But he did the collage underneath a microscope, so it was like a mini collage. Like I think it was like 2 inches by 2 inches, and he just did it under a microscope, and then we took a photo of it somehow and blew it up. I wasn't really involved in that process.
That's the record cover. Is that
the record cover? Is a micro collage made under a microscope.
That's 2 inches by 2 inches.
Don't quote me on that. It could be. I don't know if it was.
Pretty intricate,
I don't think
it
it was much bigger than 3 inches.
Nice. Yeah. That's a great cover. Do you have any ideas for the cover of the new record?
No.
Your new record?
The first one we did was a rip-off of the James Gang. I don't know. You can totally compare. Like, wow, it's totally identical. Even like the back. I wanted to call the record. I wanted to do a full length. The Ronnie Buxton's was a concept.
Okay. Yeah. Why Ronnie Buxton's?
The Ronnie Buxton's was a concept to do 2 records. The first one is called, and I talked to my band members about this.
Yeah.
Getting Together.
Yeah.
The second one was supposed to be called Breaking Up. For some reason, a couple months ago, they're like, "What? We're not calling the second record Breaking Up." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is the plan."
Yeah.
So now that we can only, as that unit, probably only muster these 4 songs, maybe with a 5th I add or something.
Okay.
So, I mean, I still want to call it Breaking Up because then it's funnier even then. You can muster 5 songs.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I really hope that ends up being the title.
Yeah,
It was always supposed to be.
Ultimately, like I made the artwork and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I could just like, this is it.
Yeah, and you made it more collaborative, and it's more fun to be collaborative. Mm-hmm. But that just seems right. And so why Ronnie Buxton's then? Why?
Oh, we were just we made a fake press release as a joke.
Yeah.
And I think my drummer, his like shop teacher was like a Ronald or like a Donald Buxton or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's just, because he put that up in the upper left hand corner.
Yeah.
For the fake management for pitch pipe management.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm like, let's just be that name with an S on it. In retrospect, I'm like, we had a sheet of
possible
band names.
Yeah.
We had more than a sheet. We had like pages, and the Facebook thread was getting out of control. People would be getting drunk and like have 10 names.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like at some point, no one was paying attention.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, let's just be this name with an S on it, and let's be done with it.
Yeah. We have a band name, then we can play shows.
Yeah. Like, let's just not think about this anymore.
Yep.
So I think, if I start something new, I'm gonna just be the Barones or something.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's quite possible. That's quite possibly going to happen. So I look forward to that. I look forward to the EP. I hope that something even bigger than Red Rock happens and Lifter Puller happens again.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And and I'm just really glad and honored that you come in and talked us through all of those projects.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Do you want to end with a favorite Lifter Puller song of yours, perhaps?
Probably play a shorty that we had planned to play at Red Rocks, but it wasn't in our set. You can play Katrina and the K-Hole.
Yeah, I love this one, which is from Fiestas and Fiascos.
Yep.
Okay, this is Katrina and the K-Hole. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.